My brother-in-law took a client's yacht out for a joyride without asking, smashed the rudder, lied to my face. My wife? She laughed and said, "You're just jealous he's not boring like you." That night, I removed every tool from the shop, reported the damage to the harbor authority, and filed a lawsuit. They thought I'd roll over? Try again. My name's Owen. I'm 41, and I run a custom boat repair business off the coast of Eureka, California. I don't sell t-shirts or Instagram dreams. I fix broken hulls, grind rusted propellers, and weld in 80-degree heat with salt in my beard and sawdust in my lungs. People trust me with their yachts. I've earned that. Over 12 years, I built my marine workshop from nothing. Converted. An old crab shack into a garage with boat lifts, tool walls, and a view of the harbor that reminds me why I never moved inland. My life was simple, gritty, and peaceful. Then my wife's little brother moved in, Trent. He strolled into town with a backpack, a bad attitude, and a sob story about a toxic breakup in Seattle. Kelsey, my wife, told me it'd be temporary. "He just needs time to reset," she said. "And Owen, be nice. You have so much, can't you share?" "Sure, I'll share my beer, my couch, maybe even a weekend off. But my clients' boats, my tools, my name? Hell no." Trent moved into the spare room, turned it into a gym/gaming den, and spent his days surfing, if you count standing on the board and falling off a sport. He didn't lift a finger around the house, not once. I gritted my teeth, stayed quiet. Then came the betrayal. I came in early one morning around 6 a.m. to prep a catamaran for delivery. What I found made my blood go cold. The rudder had been sawed into, like someone tried to fix a hairline crack, with a goddamn drywall blade. There were oily handprints on the teak floorboards. One of my grinders was left plugged in, still hot. I reviewed the cameras. At 11:47 p.m., Trent walked into the shop wearing swim trunks and a tank top. He climbed aboard the yacht, barefoot, carrying a freaking beer in one hand. He waved at the camera, smiled. I paused it, took a photo with my phone. My hand was shaking. When I got home, I showed Kelsey. "You know what she said? You're being dramatic. He was probably just looking around." Looking around? While holding a power sander? That boat was a $230,000 custom job. If the client had seen the damage first, I'd be on the hook for every cent. I stormed out and confronted Trent directly. "What the hell were you thinking?" Looked up from his cereal, my cereal, and then said, "Relax, bro. I didn't break anything. You trespassed into my shop, used my tools, damaged a client's boat. It's just wood and fiberglass. Chill." I saw red. "That's someone's yacht. That's my reputation." Kelsey jumped in then. "You're always so possessive. It's like you think you own everything." Oh no. "And what, exactly?" I asked. "Do you contribute here besides defending Captain Freeload?" She rolled her eyes. "Trent's fun. Maybe you're just jealous he's not a boring old man like you." That was it. That was the nuclear button. That night, while they watched Netflix and laughed like two drunk raccoons, I cleaned out the shop. Every tool, every clamp, every specialty bit and fiberglass mold, packed into crates and loaded into my backup storage unit across the marina. I even took the anchor-shaped "Welcome Aboard" sign off the door. What did I leave? A 10-foot vinyl banner, screwed into the wall over the workbench. Not your boat, not your tools, not your place. The next morning, I got a call from the harbor office. Someone had reported unauthorized use of dock equipment at my shop. Guess who? Trent. He tried to cover his tracks by blaming it on one of Owen's trainees, except I don't have trainees. I spent the next 2 hours with a harbor investigator, reviewing footage, filing an incident report, and sending an itemized invoice to the yacht owner for minor delay compensation. I took full responsibility for the damage, but not the cause. When I got home that night, Kelsey was waiting. "You emptied the shop?" "Nope. I reclaimed what's mine." "You're overreacting." "Funny. That's what people say, right? Before they get sued." Trent appeared behind her, shirtless, holding a smoothie. "You can't actually sue me, dude. We're family." I walked past him. "You're right. I can't sue you." Pause. "But I can report you to the harbor authority for unauthorized access, damaging private property, and theft." Trent choked on his smoothie. "What?" I didn't answer. I packed a duffel bag, grabbed my ledger, and left. Moved into a tiny rental over a fish shack with a moldy couch and a killer view. That night, I filed the paperwork. I sued Trent for damages and filed a cease and desist against Kelsey. She had forwarded my client list to her brother to help him get started, Oh, it was war now, and I was just getting warmed up. Trent had no idea who he'd messed with. The cease and desist was delivered to our front porch 2 days later. I made sure it arrived while he was sunbathing like a beached jellyfish in the yard. Certified envelope, big red sticker. He squinted at it, confused, then flipped out when he realized it was real. He screamed my name like a toddler denied candy. "You're actually doing this?" I was. Meanwhile, I set up shop in an old fisherman's warehouse I rented month to month. It smelled like rotting shrimp and diesel at first, but it had high ceilings, thick walls, and room for every damn tool I owned. I put up new signage the next day. Hard-tied custom marine. No freeloaders, no screw-ups, no exceptions. Word spread. Fast. 2 of my longtime clients dropped by before the week ended. "Heard about what happened," one said. "Can't believe you put up with them as long as you did." And just like that, they brought me work. I was back, but the fire wasn't. Out Kelsey started calling. I ignored her. She started texting. I blocked her. Then she emailed. "You're tearing this family apart. He was just trying to learn." Learn? Learn? Off someone else's yacht? Then came the real kicker. She posted on Facebook. "Some people would rather destroy everything than grow together." Translation? My husband refused to let my unqualified brother sink his career into our clients' boats, so now he's the bad guy. But the best part? A friend sent me screenshots. In the comments, Trent had replied, "Dude's got a messiah complex. Like every wrench he touches is sacred." I wanted to punch something. Instead, I punched back. I sent a letter to the harbor authority with all my footage, Trent's social post, and the report I'd already filed. I made it official. He was barred from entering the docks, the shop, anywhere near my contracts. His face was added to the marina's blacklist. Then came the escalation. Kelsey showed up at my new shop. No appointment, no call. Just walked. In like she still had access to my time, my space, my respect. "I think we need to talk." I kept working on a damaged trimaran panel. "You've done plenty of talking." She stepped closer. "You're punishing me for helping my brother." "No, I'm punishing you for choosing your brother over your husband, over my livelihood, over basic human decency." "It was just one mistake." "No. One mistake is forgetting to lock a door." Trent didn't slip. He grabbed power tools, entered a secure workspace, tampered with someone's property, and lied about it. "That's sabotage, not a whoopsie." She crossed her arms. "You're making this impossible." "Good. I want it impossible. For you to walk back into my life like nothing happened." Her eyes flicked to the new banner behind me. Same font, same shade of black. "Sink or swim." She shook her head. "You'll regret this." "No, I won't." The next week I filed for legal separation. You think that stopped her? She filed a countersuit, demanding partial ownership of my business. Claimed emotional investment and shared sacrifice. "Lady, the only thing you sacrificed was my patience." But it got better. She tried to argue that Trent was an unpaid intern who contributed to innovative repair solutions. I laughed out loud reading that one. My lawyer, Mitch, leaned back in his chair and said, "They're either desperate or on drugs." We filed a response the next day. Denial of business ownership claims, list of documented damages, and a formal motion to press civil charges against Trent for property destruction. And just when I thought the circus couldn't get wilder, I got a call from a woman named Renee. "Hi, you don't know me," she said, "but I used to date Trent, back in Tacoma. I saw the post, the yacht thing. I think you need to see something." She emailed me a folder. Police reports of vandalism, charge from 2 years back. Court-ordered community service. A restraining order filed by a local business owner. Guess what kind of business? Auto repair. He'd borrowed tools, broke 3 torque wrenches, left a transmission open in the A. Rain. Pattern much? I sent it all to Mitch. He whistled. "We're gonna bury this guy." And we were just getting started. I thought I'd seen every shade of stupid Trent could paint with. I was wrong. Apparently, after receiving the formal court notice about the civil damages suit, he decided to represent himself. That's right. No lawyer. No advisor. Just raw, delusional confidence and a YouTube crash course on legal defense. I got the news from Mitch over lunch. He filed his response handwritten. He said, barely hiding a grin. "Called you a toxic patriarchal monopolist." That's not a legal term, just colorful. I laughed so hard I nearly snorted chowder through my nose. Meanwhile, Kelsey's social media strategy went nuclear. She started posting blurry throwbacks of us, smiling at the beach, dancing at weddings, captioned with manipulative garbage. Like, some people change, others reveal who they always were. Give me a break. I stayed quiet. I didn't engage. I built. Hard tide was booming. Old clients brought new ones. One even showed up with a busted keel and said, "Heard you exorcised some demons. Thought I'd give you my business instead." I liked that. Exorcised. Felt accurate. But then, things got serious. I came home from a long day welding a steel hull, and the landlord of the house I used to share with Kelsey called. "Hey, Owen, your ex-wife's brother left the gas stove on. Burnt a saucepan to charcoal. Fire department had to kick the door in." "Excuse me, what?" he continued. "They managed to avoid a full blaze, but the place reeks. Half the cabinets are scorched. Smoke damage throughout." I nearly dropped the phone. Kelsey wasn't home at the time. She'd apparently run to yoga. Of course. I drove over. It smelled like someone tried to cremate a tire in the kitchen. Burn marks on the walls. Soot on the ceiling. Trent, meanwhile, stood out front, shirtless, vaping like he was the victim of some cruel cosmic joke. "Not my fault," he said before I even spoke. "That stove's ancient. It's gas. So? So you don't leave it running. While you pass out in front of Fortnite, you sentient mistake." Kelsey pulled up mid-yell, jumped out of her car, and started berating me. "This is why you need to stop this feud. Look what it's doing to all of us." "Feud? No, this wasn't a feud. This was cleanup duty," I snapped. "You let a man-child endanger the house, and you still defend him. I warned you. Now your kitchen's a war zone, and your brother's brain is made of styrofoam." She slapped me. Right there in the driveway, eyes wide, mouth trembling. I didn't react. I just stared. Cold, flat, done. "You don't get to play victim," I said. "You picked this." She walked inside without another word. Later that night, Mitch sent me an update. The documents Renee provided? Admissible. The restraining order? Verified and still active. And the best part? Trent's handwritten response included admissions of using my shop after hours and experimenting on hull repairs. "Congratulations, genius. You confessed." 2 days later, I got served, but not by the court, by a news outlet. Local paper wanted an interview. They'd heard about the lawsuit, the fire, and the small-town betrayal. Apparently, the harbor rumor mill was in overdrive. I said no, at first. But the next day, someone slid a note under my shop door. No return address, just a yellow sticky note and a printed page. The note read, "You should know who you're dealing with." The paper? It was a still image from a body cam.Trent, in handcuffs, being escorted off a Seattle pier. Date, 6 months before he showed up at my house. Charge, assault. On a female dock worker. It never went to court. She dropped it when he agreed to vanish from the city and stay away. My stomach turned. I sent it straight to Mitch. "This changes everything," he said. Now it wasn't just a civil case. It wasn't just tools and boats. It was a pattern of behavior, reckless, violent, and escalating. We filed a request to escalate the civil suit into a combined civil criminal inquiry, and you know what? The DA agreed. We were going to court, real charges, real stakes, and Trent still vaped, still played Fortnite, still thought this was a game. He had no idea his entire life was about to sink, and I was the one tying the anchor. Court day felt like prepping a yacht to sail through a hurricane. I wore dark jeans, boots with fresh laces, and a clean shirt. No logo, no grease stains. Just solid, simple, serious. Mitch told me, "Judges hate theatrics. Be the adult. Be the man who fixes boats, not breaks them." I nodded. But inside, I was burning. When I stepped into the courthouse lobby, Kelsey was already there. Designer blouse, fake tears in her eyes, and a folder she clearly didn't understand how to use. She wouldn't look at me directly. Trent? He showed up late. And in sandals, to court. His suit looked borrowed from a thrift store's reject pile, wrinkled, one sleeve longer than the other, ketchup stain on the collar. He winked at me like this was some frat house prank. Said nothing, but Mitch leaned in and whispered, "This is gonna be a massacre." The judge came in. Female. Sharp eyes. Zero tolerance vibe. I liked her instantly. She started with the basics. Names, filings, motions. Then she asked Trent why he was representing himself. He said, and I quote, "I know my truth better than some lawyer." "Ma'am, Your Honor, if I may, LOL. We began. Mitch led with receipts. Actual receipts. Tool purchases, storage rentals, client contracts. We laid it out clean. Everything that proved my business was mine alone, built before Kelsey, with documentation for every transaction. Then we moved to the videos. The late-night footage of Trent stumbling into the boat bay, sloshing beer as he pawed at the rudder. The camera caught him muttering, "I'm gonna fix it, bro. You'll see." Judge paused the video. "Is that a grinder in his hand?" "Yes." "Your Honor," Mitch said. "Plugged in, active, on a client's yacht." Kelsey visibly flinched. Then we played the voicemail, Kelsey telling me I was just jealous Trent isn't boring. The judge looked directly at her after that. Stone cold. Next, Mitch dropped the body cam photo, Trent in cuffs. Seattle doc report, assault case. Trent jumped to his feet. "Objection, irrelevant." "You're not a lawyer," the judge replied. "Sit down." He did, red-faced and sweating through his fake Armani. Then came Kelsey's turn. She claimed she had no idea Trent used the shop at night. She claimed she only forwarded my client list so he could practice pitching. She claimed she never meant to cause harm. The judge asked her, "Did you ever apologize for what your brother did?" Silence. Then, I didn't think I needed to. The room was still. You could hear the ceiling fan buzz. And that's when I felt it. Not anger, not rage, pity. This was the woman I had loved. This was the person I built a life with. Someone who could watch it all burn down and still think she was innocent. Then came Trent's defense. Oh boy. He stammered through a 5-minute ramble about passion for craftsmanship and inspiration from YouTube tutorials. He said he was trying to impress me, to show that he could be part of my marine empire. Marine empire? He even said the fire at the house was the stove's fault, not the part where he left bacon cooking and passed out. He finished by saying, "Owen's just mad I showed him up." The courtroom snorted. Even the stenographer chuckled. The judge cleared her throat. "I've heard enough." We waited 2 weeks for the ruling. I stayed busy. Polished the bow of a custom sport sailboat. Built a new workbench from salvaged redwood. Slept better than I had in months. Then, the letter arrived. Judge's decision. Full ruling in my favor. Kelsey got nothing. No share of the business, no ownership of tools, and no claim on my new shop. Joint liability was declared for property damage. Trent was ordered to pay $32,000 in damages. He didn't have the money? Too bad. A lien was placed on any future wages, and his bank account was frozen. And the cherry on top? The judge referred his false testimony to the district attorney. Lying. Under oath? Turns out Seattle's old assault charge was part of a probation deal, and he just violated it. 2 days later, I got a text from a random number. "You happy now, you vindictive piece of crap? He's in jail." Guess who? Kelsey. No. "I'm sorry. No accountability, just venom." I didn't reply. I saved the message. Added it to the file because it wasn't over. Not yet. I didn't reply to Kelsey's message. She wanted rage, drama, a reaction. She got silence. Meanwhile, I kept building. With Trent behind bars, the air felt different. Lighter. Like someone opened a hatch and drained out all the toxic fog. I could breathe again, focus, create, but the damage still lingered. Clients asked about the drama. Some tried to joke about it. "Hey, Owen, you taking on interns? Asking for a friend who's terrible with power tools and mildly unhinged?" I'd laugh. But inside, I was done pretending. I started putting up boundaries, literal ones. Upgraded the locks, installed new cameras, changed my business hours. Drew a hard line between personal life and work. No more freeloaders, no more late-night favors, no more giving pieces of myself away to people who treated them like scrap. And then the community stepped in. A guy named Felix, owns the tackle shop 2 doors down, brought me a coffee one morning. "Don't know the whole story," he said, "but anyone who sues their own brother-in-law over a yacht screw-up and wins. You're all right in my book." I laughed. Then he said, "You ever thought about teaching?" There it was again. He told me he had a nephew, 17, smart, curious, hands always dirty. Wanted to work with his hands but didn't know where to start. "He doesn't need grades," Felix said. "He needs someone who gives a damn." First, I said no. But later that night I found myself staring at the empty back corner of the shop. The space where Trent once wrecked a $300 workbench trying to polish fiberglass with a kitchen sponge. Now, it could be something better. I cleaned it up the next day, installed a basic workstation, put up a whiteboard, ordered 3 new sets of entry-level tools, labeled everything. That Saturday, I posted an announcement online. Intro to boat repair. Saturdays at 9. Limited spots. No tolerance for laziness. Just sweat, grit, and learning. By Tuesday, I had 10 signups, 6 teenagers, 2 college dropouts, 1 retired Coast Guard guy, 1 divorced dad looking to start over. They came. They worked. They listened. And they respected the tools. By the 3rd week, one of the teens, Leo, asked if he could stay after class and sand down the edge of a skiff on his own. I watched him for a while. Steady hands, quiet focus, real potential. That's when I knew this was worth it. Every lawsuit, every betrayal, every ounce of rage. Because I didn't just rebuild my shop, I rebuilt the why. Then, out of nowhere, Kelsey showed up again. I was closing down for the day, still smelling like teak oil and burnt epoxy, when I saw her standing by the dock, holding a small cardboard box. I should have walked the other way, but I didn't. She looked thinner, tired, older, like life finally caught up. "I found some of your old stuff," she said quietly. "From the house. Thought you'd want it." I took the box, didn't open it, just held it. She hesitated. I was wrong. About a lot of things. I stayed silent. "You were never boring, Owen. You were stable, reliable. You had a moral compass." And I guess I didn't recognize that until everything went to hell. Still, I said nothing. "I heard about the classes," she added. "Saw the posts. You're doing something good." I nodded. Just once. Then she asked, "Do you think we could talk sometime? Not about the past, just as people?" I took a deep breath, then exhaled through my nose and finally said, "You told me I was replaceable. I didn't mean it. But you said it. More than once." She looked away, embarrassed, or ashamed, maybe both. "That version of me," I said, "the one who let everything slide, who forgave things that should have been deal breakers. That guy doesn't live here anymore." She nodded slowly. "I figured. I hope you find peace, Kelsey. I really do. But whatever we were, that's gone. I buried it in the same dumpster I threw Trent's fake resume into." That got a small, sad smile. She left after that. No fight, no begging, and that's how I knew it was finally over. Real. Closure isn't loud, it's quiet. It's a door that stays shut, even when someone knocks, and I was done opening that one. 2 months later, I walked into the shop and found something taped to the door, a printed flyer. In all caps. "Don't trust this guy. He'll sue his own family." It had a grainy picture of me next to my workshop sign. A black and white tantrum, printed on cheap office paper, at the bottom, from the real victim. I didn't even need to ask. Trent was out, early release, classic overcrowding shuffle, 6 weeks in and already whining to the world. I took the flyer down, folded it neatly, and taped it to the wall next to my first student certificate. A trophy of sorts. Right under it I scribbled with a Sharpie, "Petty doesn't float. The marina loved it." Someone snapped a pic. It ended up on a local business Instagram page with the caption, "Hard tide ain't soft on drama." That post went minor viral. Over the next 2 weeks, I got 23 emails, inquiries, class signups, job offers. A woman from a nearby port asked if I'd consider hosting a fix-your-own-boat weekend course for new boat owners. I said yes, because for the first time in years, I had more than just clients. I had respect, real, earned, irreversible. The shop expanded. I brought in Leo part-time. He now runs Saturday mornings. We sanded down that cursed back wall, painted it clean navy blue, and hung up a fresh metal sign. Craft, character, consequences. One day, while cleaning out an old bin of junk Trent had wrecked, I found something tucked in a cracked plastic box. It was a Polaroid. Me and Kelsey, early days, smiling, happy, covered in paint from fixing up that first spare room. Back when, I still believed the word family was bulletproof. I didn't rip it, didn't burn it. I slid it into an envelope and mailed it back to her with no return address. Just a sticky note inside. I kept the tools. You keep the memory. She never responded, and that was perfect. 1 month later, I hosted our first public workshop. 25 people showed up. Young, old, tattooed, sunburned, didn't matter. They came ready to learn, to sweat, to build something real. We spent 6 hours sanding, sealing, bolting, and laughing. Not one person checked their phone more than once. At the end, one of the attendees, a former accountant named Barry, walked up and shook my hand. "You didn't just teach us how to fix boats," he said. "You reminded us that we still know how to fix ourselves." That one stuck with me. It reminded me why I never broke, no matter how hard the waves crashed. The next week, the local paper ran a feature. From Shipwreck to Steward, How One Man Turned Betrayal into a Movement. The story told everything, not about lawsuits or drama, but about rebuilding, about craft, about drawing a line in salt and standing firm. I framed that article and hung it by the entrance. And guess who tried? To cash in on the attention? Yep, Trent. He started a GoFundMe with the title, Help Me Rebuild My Life After Legal Abuse. It raised $17. Two of the comments were just links to the court ruling. One said, next time, try a job. Another, don't steal from the guy who owns the dock. I didn't write it, but I printed that comment out, laminated it, stuck it next to the old not yours sign I kept from the original garage. Because that's the truth, isn't it? Respect isn't given. It's earned. One screw, one weld, one honest hour at a time, and when someone crosses the line, when they take, lie, and destroy, you don't scream, you don't beg, you build again, louder, stronger, smarter. They thought I'd break, disappear, float off like some loser in the tide, but I rebuilt. And now I teach others how to do the same. So go ahead, print flyers, post, vague Facebook rants, start GoFundMes and sob to strangers. But out here, where the salt stings and the work matters, only one thing floats: truth. And here it is, the finale of today's story. Did everything turn out as you imagined, or did it end unexpectedly? I'd love to hear what you think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and let's dive into the discussion together. If this story kept you in suspense, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't signed up yet, what are you waiting for? This is your chance to join an incredible community where exciting news stories unfold every day. Click the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date. Thanks for your attention and see you on your new adventures.